Muted.
Here we're going to key in an FM number of something that has not been entered into SWEPT yet, at least the item and segment number, and then it's going to say we need a little more information, so similar to what we saw previously. You're asked to choose the original PD&E FM number. Related FM ETDM projects works similar to what we saw earlier, and then you would choose the appropriate class of action. I'm going to fly through these steps because they're similar to what we saw earlier. Project manager, I'm actually logged in as the district environmental manager entering this project, so it needs to know who is the PM. Who do you want to make changes to the project file, similar to what we saw earlier. Lead agency, participating, cooperating, and then check for completeness. We'll go ahead and finish. Takes us back to the reeval form. Okay, so here you're asked to choose the reevaluation type, and this you can select one or more options. So let's say it's a design change and construction advertisement. The document type and date of approval, it picks that up from what we entered on basic setup. The date of approval of the original document, if it had happened in SWEPT, it would be picked up automatically. Assuming it happened before SWEPT, you'd have to enter that information. Project numbers, these are from the original approved document. So federal aid, if available, FM number, ETDM number as entered on the basic setup. And then again, the project name, location, and limits are from the original environmental document. And these are what I input on the basic setup. And then we get into segments of the highway being advanced. This works off of FM number. And so I'll enter at least the item number, and then I'll get a pick list. And this pick list gives me the unique combinations of item segment and FAP number that we find in our work program database. And so when you select one of those, it adds it to the row in the table below. You can do as many of those as are needed. And I'm using the same item number, but there's no restriction on that. It's whatever segments are being advanced. And so you do that as many times as needed. You can choose whether the funding is federal or state for those segments. You can remove the segments if you added one in error. If there is any problem with the FAP number or project description, you can contact us or you can correct them through the work program. Prior reevaluations, if they had been completed in SWEPT, would be picked up automatically here, or you can simply add them. Here the FM number is free text. So you would type in the FM number. I'm just going to type in a sample. The type of prior reevaluation, and while I'm entering this, I'll just answer the question. The changes in work program are imported into SWEPT nightly, and the information is automatically updated, so it would be 24 hours. Then you have, for each of the prior reevaluations, the date the district approved, the date the lead agency concurred, if applicable, or the consultation date, if applicable. So you would enter the appropriate information. And continue with all your prior reevaluations. And then we get into the project segment planning consistency. This is very similar to the Type 2 form. Here it's driven off of actually the segments being advanced. So because I have 2 segments being advanced, it's going to want me to complete 2 planning consistency tables. Just for the purpose of demo, I'm going to remove one of the segments being advanced, so I only have 1 table to complete. And so I'll say yes for everything. Okay, so that table's been completed. Of course, you can put in comments, supporting, and all the same type of information we saw on the type 2. You can also attach supporting information for project plan consistency. Following that is the name and title of the FDOT preparer. It does not have to be a SWEPT user. You can type in free text. The evaluation of changes in impacts. Here, for each of the resource issues, there's a yes, no, whether or not there have been changes in impacts. If you say no, you do not need to provide supporting information. If you say yes, you're asked to provide supporting information, and that normally would take the form of an attached document and then a reference to where in that attached document to find supporting information. Just for the purpose of demo, I'm going to say no. Go through each of the resource issues, saying that there's no change in impacts, all the way through physical. And I'll say yes for construction, just to demonstrate the attach. Works very similar to what we've seen previously. Same set of questions. Here it's going to be supporting documentation regarding construction impacts. And so now I've got a check mark next to there, indicating I've got supporting documentation. And then finally, or next I should say, evaluation of major design changes and revised design criteria. So this is where you describe your typical section changes, alignment shifts, right-of-way changes, etc. And then this has come up before, so I'll answer it now. On a reevaluation, that's only a design change and no segments are being advanced, you would simply not list any segments being advanced in Section E and then just describe the design changes in Section 3. So because that's come up before, I'll provide that guidance. And then we've got attachment that we can do for to support the evaluation of major design changes and revised design criteria. We've got a commitment status section, and you can attach supporting documentation, status of permits, again with an attachment, optional, and then finally the conclusion. If no changes affecting the original environmental determination have occurred, check the following, and you can read the statement that the decision remains valid. And then you've got the reviewer signature block, and then the section for OEM concurrence. This is where you'd indicate whether or not OEM signature is required and the date of consultation with OEM. The attachments are listed, and then you've got options to save draft, and then if you're the PM, you can send for approval. Because I'm logged in as the district environmental manager, I can just go ahead and approve this, assuming I've filled out the form correctly. And I did skip over some steps there just in the interest of time. With a reeval, it's similar to a type 2 in that you'd complete the draft version, upload to ERC, do an initial environmental document submittal. Once all comments had been resolved, come into the form, update it with the final documents, and then do the signature and the request for approval submittal. So very similar process to what we saw earlier. In this example, I'm doing the request for approval, so assume we've already had our ERC review, and this is what I see after I actually sign the reevaluation. As the district environmental manager, I can view a PDF of it, I can view PDFs of the attachments, and I have a link to go to the submittal form where I complete, remember, a reevaluation is the document type and a request for approval in this case. And after that point, it works similarly to what we saw previously. So I'll end it there so we can answer any other questions that we have.
One question did come up. Once the work program makes a correction you request, when would it show up in SWEP?
Within 24 hours.
The next morning.
Usually, yeah, the next day. It happens, I can't remember the exact time, but it's early in the morning.
Yeah. The next day.
Yep. So, let's see, give it back to me. It's okay, I think I found it. Because there was something else I wanted to show you guys since I had you on, because I know District 6 has been really good about putting stuff into the EDMS. So if find it. So if you're doing a reevaluation or doing an environmental document and some of the supporting information is already been uploaded into the EDMS and it's in the groups and types associated with it. What we've been telling the districts is that if you've already done this, if you've already uploaded documents into EDMS, you don't need to come back and re-go through the process in SWEP. What we ask you to do is send us something similar to this, where you do a search in the EDMS and you find the document numbers and then you tell us which ones to map. And what we'll do is we'll go back in behind the scenes and make that connection. Now, we won't do that for all the other systems that are out there. If you had some other customized system that you're putting your documents into, you're just out of luck, because ultimately they need to flow through SWEP and they need to be in the EDMS. But if you already have them in the EDMS for your project, then let us know. And what you do is you send a request back to SWEP, and you give us something like this, tell us what project it is, what's the name, and the list of the documents that you want us to make the connection for. And we'll, behind the scenes, make that connection. You won't have to re-upload anything or re-attribute anything. We'll get those ones. We'll get those ones connected and stored. That also means, though, going forward from today, don't go put things in the EDMS anymore. Just put them in SWEP, and we'll take care of putting them in the EDMS. So this should only be if you have an inventory of documents that already exist in EDMS. We're happy to make the behind-the-scenes connection for you. We won't do it for other systems, because ultimately it has to flow from SWEP into the EDMS as the official archive for the department. And we won't do it for brand new projects going forward, but we know that there's been a lot of work for a long time on these things. And so if that comes up, please let us know, send us an email, and we'll work with you guys to get it in there. So I think that was the training today. I don't know if you guys have any other questions about what we saw. Hand it back to you, Mike, in case they want to see anything. But this is your opportunity now. If there's anything else you guys want to go over, we're happy to go over it. And just to reiterate, you have our contact information. Any questions you have, you can send to swept@fla-etat.org, or you can call the help desk at this number, and we'll be happy to help you with your project.
Awesome. Okay, not seeing anything come in. Yes, you're welcome, Samantha. We hope everybody has a fantastic day. Go enjoy lunch. And if you need any help, let us know. We're happy to help you any way that we can. Take care. Have a great day. Bye. Thanks, Robert.